Hi, everyone. I'm Brittany. Welcome to Randomness, where we talk about a little bit of everything, the deep, the weird, and the real. So take a breath, open your mind, and let's get into it. Today, we are venturing into territory that I think most of you will find pretty fascinating. I know I do. We are talking about auras. You've probably definitely heard the term before. Someone has good energy or a dark aura, but what exactly are auras? Can people really see them, and what do they mean? Now, whether you believe auras are real energy fields or simply a metaphor for the vibes we pick up from people, there's something undeniably interesting about the concept. So let's explore this together with open minds and curiosity. In spiritual and metaphysical traditions, an aura is described as an energy field that surrounds living beings. It's often depicted as a luminous colored light that radiates from the body, invisible to most people, but perceptible to those with heightened sensitivity or psychic abilities. Different traditions describe auras in various ways. Some see them as having multiple layers corresponding to different aspects of our being: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Others describe auras as constantly shifting colors that reflect our current emotional state, health, and spiritual development. Now, the word aura itself comes from the Greek word for breeze or breath, which is fitting given that auras are often described as something subtle, almost imperceptible, that emanates from us. Now, the concept of auras isn't new or unique to any single culture. Throughout history, various traditions have recognized something resembling an energy field around the body. In ancient Indian philosophy, the concept of prana describes life force energy, and the chakra system involves energy centers that influence the aura. Okay, so sorry I had to stop for a second. Not quite sure what the last thing I said was, but traditional Chinese medicine speaks of qi, the vital energy that flows through the body. Christian art often depicts saints with halos, golden circles of light around their heads, which some interpret as artistic representations of spiritual auras. Indigenous cultures worldwide have recognized the presence of spiritual energy surrounding living things. Shamanic traditions often involve seeing or sensing these energies as part of healing practices. So, according to those who read auras, different colors represent different qualities, emotions, and states of being. So let's explore what various colors are commonly said to mean. Red is associated with passion, energy, and vitality. A bright red might indicate strength and physical energy, while a darker or murky red could suggest anger, frustration, or anxiety. Orange typically represents creativity, confidence, and emotional expression. It's the color of enthusiasm and adventure. A vibrant orange suggests someone who's outgoing and enjoys new experiences. Yellow is linked to intellect, optimism, and clarity. It's the color of the mind and communication. A clear, bright yellow might indicate someone who's cheerful, while a pale yellow could suggest caution or overthinking. Green is the color of balance, growth, and healing, and it's associated with the heart chakra and represents love, compassion, and connection to nature. People with green auras are often seen as nurturing. And blue represents calmness, truth, and communication. Light blue suggests peace and clarity, while darker blue indicates depth of feeling and spiritual awareness. Blue auras are often associated with teachers, counselors, and intuitive people. Indigo and purple are connected to intuition, spirituality, and higher consciousness. These colors suggest someone who's deeply introspective, possibly psychic, and connected to spiritual realms. Pink represents love, compassion, and tenderness. It's a gentle color associated with romantic love, friendship, and emotional openness. White or clear auras are considered rare and indicate spiritual purity, clarity, and enlightenment. They are often associated with highly evolved spiritual beings. Brown or gray colors are generally interpreted as indicating blockages, confusion, or negative energy. They might suggest someone who's stuck, dealing with illness, or experiencing emotional turmoil. Now, black is controversial in aura reading. Some see it as indicating serious illness, deep depression, or negative energy. A lot of people argue that true black auras are extremely rare and that what people perceive as black is usually just a very dense or dark version of another color. It's important to note that aura colors aren't static. They are said to shift and change based on our moods, health, thoughts, and circumstances. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. What does science say about auras? And the short answer is that mainstream science doesn't recognize auras as measurable energy fields. There's no scientific evidence that humans emit visible light fields beyond the infrared radiation all warm bodies produce. And some people point to Kirlian photography as evidence of auras, and this technique developed in the 1930s, and it captures images of what appears to be a corona discharge around objects. But scientists explain this as simply an electrical discharge caused by the photography process itself, not evidence of an energy field. And studies attempting to prove that people can see or sense auras under controlled conditions have generally failed to produce reproducible results. And when tested, self-proclaimed aura readers have not been able to consistently identify aura colors or characteristics beyond what would be expected by chance. However, and this is important, the absence of scientific proof doesn't necessarily mean the experience of perceiving auras is meaningless or false. It might mean we are describing something real using metaphorical language, or that we are picking up on subtle cues that our conscious mind interprets as colors or energy. So, if auras aren't scientifically verified energy fields, what might explain the experiences people have? One possibility is synesthesia, a neurological condition where stimulation of one sense triggers experiences in another. And some people with synesthesia automatically perceive colors when they see faces or hear sounds. They might genuinely see colors around people based on subtle cues like voice tone, facial expressions, or body language. Another explanation involves our remarkable capacity for reading nonverbal communication. We constantly pick up micro expressions, posture, tone of voice, and other subtle signals, and our brains process this information and create intuitive impressions. What we call seeing someone's aura might be our mind's way of interpreting this complex social data. There's also the power of expectation and interpretation. And if you believe in auras and are looking for them, you might interpret visual phenomena like after images, peripheral vision effects, or the way light interacts with people as evidence of auras. And none of this is meant to dismiss people's experiences, whether auras are literal energy fields or metaphorical interpretations of intuitive perception. They can still be meaningful, and useful. Many people claim that anyone can learn to perceive auras with practice, and there are some common techniques. You can start by developing your peripheral vision. Stare at a fixed point while paying attention to what you see at the edges of your vision. Some people say that auras are easier to perceive this way rather than through direct focus. So you can practice with your hand against a neutral background. Stare at your fingertips against a white or light colored wall, slightly unfocusing your eyes. And some people report seeing a faint outline or shimmer. Observe people against plain backgrounds in soft, natural light, because harsh lighting and busy backgrounds make it harder to see, the subtle colors. So pay attention to your intuitive impressions of people. And even if you don't see colors, you might sense energies or moods. And this could be your way of perceiving what others call auras. Meditation and mindfulness practices are often recommended for developing aura perception. And the idea is that quieting the busy mind allows subtle perceptions to emerge. And whether these practices lead to genuinely seeing auras or simply heighten your awareness and intuition is an open question, but many people they find value in the process regardless. Even if we are uncertain about the literal reality of auras, the concept has practical applications. In healing and therapeutic contexts, the idea of cleansing or balancing someone's aura can be a powerful metaphor for addressing emotional and psychological imbalances. Energy healing, like Reiki, work with this concept, and many people report feeling better after such treatments, even if the mechanism isn't scientifically understood. And the language of auras give us a vocabulary for discussing intuitive impressions and emotional atmospheres. Saying someone has heavy energy or bright energy communicates something real about our experience of them, even if we're not literally seeing colored lights. And thinking about auras can also encourage self-awareness. If you imagine what color your aura might be right now, you're essentially checking in with your emotional and mental state. That's valuable introspection. And here's something interesting. You don't have to believe in auras as literal energy fields to find value in this concept. Think of auras as a metaphor for the emotional and psychological presence people project. We all know what it's like to walk into a room and sense tension, or to meet someone who just radiates warmth and positivity. Whether or not that's a visible energy field, it's a real phenomenon that we experience. Auras can be a useful framework for thinking about the impression we make on others and the energy we bring to situations. Asking yourself, what kind of aura am I projecting today, is really just another way of checking your attitude and emotional state. The practice of trying to perceive auras, even if you're skeptical about their physical reality, can sharpen your observational skills and empathy. It encourages you to pay closer attention to people, their body language, their mood, their energy in the room. Now, the question of whether auras are real doesn't have a simple answer, and that's okay. Life is full of mysteries, and we don't need to have everything figured out. If you experience auras as real, literal energy fields that you can perceive, that's your truth. If you understand them as metaphors for intuition and social perception, that's equally valid. And if you're skeptical but curious, that's perfectly reasonable position too. The most important thing is approaching the topic with both openness and critical thinking. Be willing to explore and experience, but also be honest about what you observe and don't observe. So auras represent something deeply human, our desire to understand the invisible forces that connect us to each other and the world around us. Whether they are electromagnetic fields, intuitive perceptions, or simply poetic metaphors. The concept of auras acknowledges something true, that we are more than just physical bodies, and that we impact the people and spaces around us in ways that aren't always visible or measurable. Maybe the real gift of thinking about auras isn't in proving or disproving their existence, but in what they encourage us to do. Pay attention, be mindful of the energy we bring to the world, and remain open to the possibility that there's more to reality than meets the eye. So, whether you leave this episode as a believer, a skeptic, or somewhere in between, I hope you've found something to think about. Until next time, keep questioning, keep wondering, and keep being curious about the mysteries of existence. All right, guys, that's it for today. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to follow. And remember, keep your energy grounded, your mind open, and your curiosity alive.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.